All right, we are here with our next guest, and this next guest I've been wanting to bring on for quite some time. He'd reached out to me, letting me know that he had started a recruiting consultation company. It is called Edge Recruitment Consultation, and recruiting consultation. I'm sorry. It is so important to have the right partners in this experience. I can't tell you how many times that after an athlete has been through my program, the parent reaches out to me and it's just a stress relief just to have somebody there kind of walking you through and making sure you're not crazy and all of these things, because it takes a village to get to this point. So I really wanted to bring our next guest on to kind of explain what it's like partnering somebody who knows what they're doing in this industry and can really help you guys out and understand what the right things are to do along your journey. So without further doubt, I want to introduce our next guest, Coach Benny Palmer. Nice to
Thanks
meet
for
you,
having
man.
me. Yeah.
Thanks for
having
coming
me
on.
Absolutely.
So, Coach, tell us a little bit about yourself here, real quickly.
I'm a high school football coach here in Kansas City. I've been teaching and coaching here for 17 years now. Been a head football coach for 5 of them. I've always been kind of gravitated towards the recruiting side of things. I played college football here at William Jewell. I know, quite a bit of people in the industry, and I've always been trying to, push my kids to get somewhere. I love sending out lists to coaches around the area, just trying to, get kids, the exposure that they need to have sometimes. Because a lot of times we got overlooked for a long time, and now with people coming in quite a bit, it's nice to see that. So,
Absolutely.
it's been, what I like to do is just, talk to coaches, talk to parents, and be able to start, talking through this process with them. So
Yeah.
it's been fun for the last year doing this.
That's awesome. And that's kind of the same reason we started Market Athletes, was we were tired of the Midwest being considered flyover country. And we wanted to make it known around the world, or around the nation at least, that, hey, we got some dogs here.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Well, tell us a little bit about Edge Recruiting Consultation Services here. What do you guys, do primarily with the athletes and with the family, and what's your overall goal?
So I guess the goal right away is just to kind of inform parents, kind of give them a little bit of some guardrails, and some guides on how this process looks.
Mhm.
I'm not into it to try to get to be somebody that's pushing, recruiting itself. It's more on the idea of, here's all the information you need to have. Here's what you need to be watching for. This is your plan, academically, social media wise. What's the landscape look like for you? Some honest kind of perspective on what we're probably looking at,
Mhm.
and what you can do during this timeline to make yourself more marketable, and make yourself a kind of just a plan on where you want to go.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we've been doing. Meeting with parents, where I've been doing is meeting with parents, meeting with families. It's a full family thing. We want all our guardians there, the kid there. We want to go through it. We're pulling up transcripts. We're going through class schedules. We're looking at the camps nearby. We're looking at what our max numbers are, and what are we looking at as a real potential for you to find a home for 4 years.
100%. And sometimes it just requires somebody else to tell the athlete what the parent is telling the athlete. They just don't trust their guardian. So having somebody with that knowledge and the reputation that you have 17 years coaching, it's hard not to listen to you.
Well, hopefully, and and that's the hope, is that you're giving them solid information to where, if we can set up a plan, then you can work through this plan to be
Yeah.
able to get to where you want to be.
Yeah. If you are successful in the plan, your chances of being successful in finding a home
Absolutely.
quite large. We mentioned parents already, but what role do parents play in this process, and what are some of the things they get wrong at the initial part?
I think the biggest thing they get wrong is that they're behind, that they're doing a lot of things wrong, like they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times when I sit down and I talk to them, I think the relief sets in. You kind of mentioned it
Yeah.
earlier. That relief of the fact that, okay, we're okay.
Yes.
Like we're not way behind the 8 ball here. We need to get working. We need to get going. But it's not like we can't get jump started when we are. Um, you know, Parents are huge on it. The kids are obviously a big part of it. But I tell the parents all the time, like, we got to keep the kids humble. We got to make sure that we understand our process. We got to understand where we are realistically in this process. Not everyone, if we're sitting here talking about a senior, not everybody is going to get the dream school they want, but we're going to find you a home that is going to be perfect for you.
Yeah.
if we're realistic in what we're doing. So I think a lot of it is just that communication piece of as at ease meant for them as we're going through it.
Absolutely. I've had a few parents who were a bit unrealistic, when we first met. And
Sure.
the big thing I try to focus on is, hey, we start small. We reach out and we start engaging NAIAs and JUCOs. If you can get interest at that level, we'll bump it up. But,
Yep.
if you're going to spend your entire time going after D1s, you're really wasting a bunch of energy and effort.
100%. 100%.
So, what can players do to become more marketable?
There's obviously kind of four big areas that we kind of hammer on. Performance is obviously going to be the number one thing. Colleges want the best players. They want the best players on the field. If you're the best player on the field, you're going to find a home somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So it's trying to get yourself to that spot. It's camps and combines. The combine coming up, the varsity combine. It is an opportunity to get real numbers and get real exposure in that realm. That's needed. You need to be in front of college coaches. You need to get evaluated. You need to be seen.
Absolutely.
Their high school coaches themselves, it is still old school, but college coaches reach out to their high school coaches quite a bit about word of mouth,
mm-hmm.
about what's going on. And a lot of coaches here in Kansas City, since we have such great high school football coaches, we communicate with each other and help each other quite a bit. We'll vouch for your kids. And that's what makes this place special. So that's still there. And then it's the exposure portion of what happens on social media, what you can put out highlight tape wise, like what you guys are doing at Market Athlete. Like, it is so important to be able to push content out more than just, hey, here's my highlight tape. I hope you watch my 9-minute clip.
Exactly.
It doesn't work that way. So we focus on getting parents and kids to understand that if we can if we can focus on those areas, if we can work to be the best player, if we can get the camps and combines, if you can be your coach's favorite, and then if you can get your content out to be seen, you're going to have yourself a better opportunity to get recruited.
Hallelujah. That's a game plan to me if I've ever heard one. Yeah, absolutely. So what criteria do coaches typically use to evaluate recruits? Obviously, you got to pass the eye test. You got to look good. But what are some of the things kids don't know that coaches are looking for?
I mean, I think one of the, when the eye test is crucial. The way they play is crucial. You have to have that. You have to have that twitch. You have to have that I guess that dog in you when you're playing, that is going to jump off the screen. But it's also going to be the way they carry themselves, the way they act. I like to talk about the fact that who you are on your social media account, who you are on Friday nights, has to be the same person you are all the time.
100%.
There's no like, hey, I just turn on switches and over here I'm just acting a different way. How you are matters. We talk about your reputation in your school and how you carry yourself throughout the building. And then when we come down to it, it is academics are going to be one of the number one things with our kids around the air, because the Division I spots get filled up so quickly. Division II schools and NAIA schools, Division III schools, academics are the difference in you being able to afford to go to that school, because they're not handing out full rides.
Nope.
You need the academic scholarships to be able to make things affordable. And if I was a college coach and I'm sitting there talking to a kid and I can give him a lot more academic money and save on the athletic money to give somewhere else, that's what I'm going to do.
Decision's easy at that point.
It's very easy.
It is a money decision.
If you want to make yourself marketable, you need to know your number, and that GPA number is your number.
Yep.
You need to know it.
100%. Absolutely. So last question here for you, Coach. What steps should an athlete and their families take, starting their freshman and sophomore year?
And those are the funnest ones, right? Because if you get in with their freshman year, then you can kind of lay the groundwork of what needs to be done, right? I think one of the biggest things they have to realize is that, one, your freshman year is the most important year academically that you're going to have. You cannot bury yourself. You can't put yourself in a hole. You need to make sure you have a balanced course load. You need to make sure that you know who your counselors are, that you're contacting your counselors, that everybody's on pace with what you're hoping to accomplish. You can't think, hey, I'm a senior now, I'm going to try to open the door again. You don't get to open that door if we've already closed it. So they need to get on there. They need to be working their hardest they can to get on the field as early as they possibly can. It takes time to get there, especially if you're in a really good established program. You are working to try to get there. That competition is huge. There's no reason to run from it.
They're not going to let you have it either.
And they're not going to let you have it. But you're going to have to show that you can do it. And you got to be strong enough. You got to be fast enough. You got to have all those intangibles. And when you have them, then you're going to be able to be the best player on the field or one of those top players. And you're going to be able to produce content and produce numbers that schools are going to want to have. Because I mean, it's a business for those guys that are out there recruiting kids. They would love to just recruit high school players and then be ready to go out there and roll. But it's not realistic if we're sitting here saying that every one of our kids are ready right away.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to be working for it all 4 years if that's what they want to do. They can change their mind their senior year,
Yeah.
but you can't change your mind your
Go the
senior year and
opposite way.
say, hey, now I want to play.
Yeah. So these college coaches are approaching this as a business, and that's why we had in our recruiting tip of the week. You always have to approach this with that brand strategy mindset because it's a business to you as well. So, Coach, where could families reach you if they're curious about, getting under your wing?
Edge Recruiting Consultation is my Twitter handle. You can also email me. It's just con with the underscore. But you can reach out to there. I'm following a number of the high school kids already. But any parent that's wanting to be interested, reach out to me on Twitter or on X, and we can set something up and see what we can do to try to set up a plan for you.
Awesome. Well, you guys should definitely take advantage of that. Coach Palmer, tons of experience here in Kansas City, knows what he's talking about. He's in this for the right reasons, and that's the most important thing, guys.